It's Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Mariam.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm excited. I'm happy.
It's exciting you.
The rain. I mean, it's just been raining non-stop.
Yeah, I heard it rain all day yesterday.
Yes, and today. Wait, why did you hear? Why didn't
because
you?
I was inside a hotel, like, it was totally locked up.
Okay.
When I come out in the evening, that's why it was wet. I was thinking,
I think you also need to explain your voice.
Honestly, I don't know what happened to my voice. I'm not coughing. I'm not having any. I just woke up and I started having sore throats. I don't know what happened. I just hope I don't have any serious infection. I'm using ginger and what's the other one I'm using? Vitacula.
Yeah.
I had Vitacula this morning.
Nima to the rescue.
Obviously, always to the rescue. I like your consumo. I like the black there. Are you going anywhere today?
No, not particularly.
Just stop by somewhere, we need this kind of nice delis. Just stop by, have a sandwich.
Yeah.
Just have a nice coffee.
I'm telling you, it's raining,
just somewhere. Yeah,
but this is Lagos. We're hustling for our lives.
That thing, you don't even cross your mind to do that because I go to my house, I beg. How you doing, Nima?
I'm fine. I was on set yesterday, so the movie is coming out soon. I was...
You acted a movie?
Yes.
Hey, Nima,
I cannot explain it, but I'm not acting. I have one movie down, one to go, another one coming.
So what was your role?
Mother.
A mother. Oh, perfect. Apt.
A mother in the past, flash scene.
Okay.
Flashback scene.
Flashback scene.
Very short. And it was, okay, they said we should not disclose until the...
This is not the Waka Pass.
It's the Waka Pass.
It's Waka Pass.
I thought it was like a main role you got.
No. At this time, with the state of mind that I'm in, it was a Waka Pass, but it was a very big project, yes.
I was at the Education Summit yesterday. It started. Today is day 2 at the hotel. It's a gathering of stakeholders to discuss and give suggestions on what we can do to improve the education sector. So last summit we had was more of those people telling the private sector what education has been like in Lagos, what they've done. That was the last one. But this one is now to hear from the private sector ideas and suggestions. What can we do to close the gap, especially those who are out of school and those and how we can improve education across board. So it was a really very interesting conversation, and I was so impressed. There was this young guy, the owner of Andela.
Oh, yeah?
I know of him.
Okay.
Never met. I just know of him. Gosh, the guy was hot. Like, I was just scribbling. The guy was fantastic. I think I need to find out more about him and read more about him. But it was a good outing.
You're going there today?
Yeah, I'm going back today. Yeah, I took your scarf thingy, your ID. Yesterday you had on scarf. Oh, let me just be like Mariam.
Nice.
Scarf on, throw it on. We learn every day. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we go through the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Let's start with the nation. Buhari to Nigerians, I won't interfere in next year's elections. Petrol importation to end June 2023. Reverse your decision on strike, FG tells ASU. Victim of organ harvest to court. Don't release my biodata to Ekweremadu. No rift between Tinubu and Adamu over campaign council, says APC. Igboho appeal court reverses 20 billion naira damages against DSS. And Fidelity Bank gets CBN's nod to acquire Union Bank UK. Okay, let me start with the major headlines. So President Muhammadu Buhari, through his spokesperson, I think it was Femi Adesina, was saying that he respects Nigerians. And because of that, he will ensure a free and fair election. He will ensure that it is who you vote for that gets elected. According to him, he also referenced the recent polls that took place in Osun, Ekiti, and Anambra, saying that you can see what we've done, and that this party is going to ensure a smooth sail to ensure that no hoodlums or anybody take over or hijacks the process, that they're going to ensure a free and fair, and it's this who you Nigerians pick become president in 2023. That's pretty much the nutshell of that sort of.
And that's a good message, especially in this time with all the...
But I would like to hear from him.
He says that all the time. Through his spokesperson, of course. So the group chief executive officer of the NNPC Limited, Mele Kyari, was talking on importation again, and this time around he gave us a time line. Said by mid-2023, importations would end, and this is how he proposes that it will happen. So there's a 50 million liters of petroleum products that will be coming from the Dangote refinery that they're planning on, because they have 50 million liters daily. That they have, a 50%, they have a 20% stake in that refinery, and they have a right for first refusal, so they will get their products. They will also be giving over 300,000 barrels to that refinery coming next year when it takes off. He says that even though, and they're looking to reform, to repair all our 3 refineries already existing owned by government. He said that, but even if all of them are working at about 90% capacity, they will only be able to produce 18 million liters of PMS daily. And he says that, so with the addition of what Dangote would be doing and, working with them, they would be able to not only take over West African markets for that product, they're looking at, going further to other areas of Africa, and how that capacity would also stem the importation, take care of all our fears about the subsidy payments and all other fears. Then he went on to talk about why we even ended up refining outside the country, which is, of course, vandalism and oil theft. He says that, in Nigeria, oil thefts happen daily. People build houses on the pipelines that are supposed to take finished products from the refineries to, their depots. So he mentioned that from Atlas Cove to Ibadan, all the depots are now redundant. It's because of the vandalism happening along the line. So Nigerians build houses there, and now they use our religious institutions as a camouflage. He mentioned a lot of things that impressed me. I expected that he would have an idea, because even where we live in some areas, we see these things happen. What I also would want is that when you go through the Abule Adosoba to Ijegemo in Ikotun, those areas where you have had pipeline explosion, you will see military men. In those wet areas where it's possible, I've gone there several times, right. You see those military posts, and you wonder how somebody will fully, boldly put a small pipeline pump, petroleum pump on pipelines and be distributing finished products. In fact, they will bring tankers in. Right. Until that fire happened in Ikotun, then nobody thought about it. So I would expect that he has an idea of all of this. Arrest and prosecution should be in our faces, to discourage the theft.
Another story.
Yeah, so the victim of the alleged organ harvesting involving the former Deputy Senate President, Kuremadu, and his wife, has approached the High Court in Abuja, and he's asking that they had given the Kuremadus the right to get his biodata from NIMC, and I think his bank. NIMC is the National Identity Management Commission, and also from NIS, from Stanbic, from UBA. So the victim, through his lawyer, approached the court and says that as far as he's concerned, this is against his fundamental human rights. Why would they give them that the access to his biodata without informing him, and without his involvement? And the Kuremadus actually need it for their defense at the court in the UK. So the court here in Abuja has adjourned their next meeting till sometime in September, and then we'll see if they will go ahead to give the Kuremadus this information.
Lawyers can ask for that.
Of course.
I'm wondering why.
Whatever they need to prepare for their defense.
All right, moving on now to the Punch. Indefinite strike. FG summons varsity councils, vice chancellors as parents grumble. Picture here, army kills terrorists, arrests 3 suspects in Kaduna. Hoodlums invade Lagos communities, rob residents and victims lament. Appeal court nullifies 20 billion naira damages, Igboho heads to Supreme Court. Undergraduate lovers die in Kwara, corpses found naked. 46 billion naira debt, NCAA threatens to withdraw airlines licenses. 6,068 Nigerian doctors moved to UK under Buhari. And oil earnings dropped by 29% to 790 billion naira, says CBN. Okay, which story? Are we with the major headline, please?
So, in a letter signed by the Deputy Executive Secretary Administration for the National University Commission, the federal government has invited pro-chancellors, vice-chancellors, chairmen of governing councils of the federal universities to a meeting for September 6th in Abuja to look into this indefinite strike issued by ASU And the pains of parents were also taken in that report that, you know, parents are suffering and are really grumbling about this extended strike. Today makes it 198 days of the strike. And, you know, because some of their issues are still remain unresolvable, government is now looking at that meeting. I'm hoping that it will not be another meeting, you know, no solution. Yeah.
So the Nigerian Army said that on Tuesday, while on patrol in some communities in Kaduna State, were attacked and then found themselves in a gun duel with terrorists. They said that they were able to overpower them, thankfully. One of the terrorists was killed, 3 of them captured, and many of them that were wounded ran off. And so they're saying to Nigerians, you know, if you find if anyone approaches hospitals or anybody trying to take care of gunshot wounds, they should be alerted. They said from the raid they were able to recover a lot of arms and ammunition and also 80 motorcycles. So well done to our military, and we'll continue to pray for your success.
Landlords and residents and business owners around the Abule Egba area are decrying, saying that hoodlums are lurking around and snatching phones, property amongst residents. That's from 7 p.m. It's no longer safe to travel 7 p.m. within the access. According to him, they're in distress. Moving from Abule Egba to Ahmadiyya to Ile Ekpo is no longer safe at night. Hoodlums snatch their phones and disposing the commuters of all their belongings. And they've done everything to get the police to assist. They need more help, especially around that axis, for police to help, to have more police surveillance to reduce the amount of attacks residents and motorists are experiencing around that area. It's quite, there was a time this was happening around Ziaja area. Somehow it stopped. Remember. So I think that there's a way they can fix this.
The Aja one was really bad.
It was really bad.
Break through their cars.
But that has stopped, so hopefully they can fix that. Let's go to a quick break. When we come back, we continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. There was a story you want to take and punch.
Yes, the Kwara State University undergrads, so 200 level, 2 students in 200 level were preparing for their exams with their classmates in class, and then they decided to go to their hostel, a boy and a girl, to, you know, prepare. I would like not to take their names. Their names are in the paper anyway. So they went to their hostel to continue reading, only for them not to show up for the exam the next day. They didn't show up the day after, so their friends started looking around the school for them, and they found them in their hostel, off-campus hostel, dead and naked and dead in their room. So the university has responded. They've invited the police, and they've promised to do an autopsy to find the cause of death, but nothing else has been released.
Really sad, but that's rest in peace. Moving on to Daily Sun. Governors offer to take over negotiation with ASU. Again, court refuses Kyari bail application. Southeast, 119 civilians, security personnel killed in 3 months, says report. Fuel imports end June next year, says Kyari. CBN gives Fidelity Bank nod to acquire Union Bank in the UK. Wike turns McAfee, vows to bring down APC structures in rivers. APC governors NWC meet over presidential campaign list. And 2023, frustrated youth only using Obi as symbol, says McAfee. Okay, which story?
Let me take the detained Deputy Commissioner of Police, Abba Kyari, filed for bail, and the court has dismissed it again. So the grounds for asking for bail was that, first of all, he's in the same prison as criminals that he had, you know, because of his investigation and his work, have led to their imprisonment, and now he's in the same prison with them. He says he lives in that place and hides himself like a rat because he's afraid of these people. He also said that during the Kuje prison escape that happened, he said he had an opportunity, he and his other colleagues that were detained with him had an opportunity to have escaped, but he did not. Instead, he just, he stayed back. That's to show some form of character. And he also talked about just the way the prison is run, his welfare, his lifestyle, his health is also affected. But the court says, as far as they're concerned, all the things that he's brought before them, there's nothing strong enough that can allow them give him bail. So it looks like he's going to be in there until.
So there was an independent report by a company called Nigerian SPD Violent Conflict Database. And what they looked into was the numbers of killings in the southeast by unknown gunmen. So aside from this report was saying, I think it's between 2021 and 2022, it says that aside from the other deaths, 73 people have been killed in 28 kidnapping incidents in Southeast. I'd say about 31.5% of all kidnapped victims and 40% of all civilians killed by these unknown gunmen in the first half of 2022. So they're just giving us some independent data. It's good to have data because also it also says that some security personnel, about 36 security personnel also died in the first half of 2022. About 83 civilians were also killed by these unknown gunmen. That's the first half of 2022. So these are data that the government needs to use to know how how important it is for them to combat the violence and killings in the southeast. The data is quite extensive. I can't read all the figures that have been given, but the trend analysis of killing by this unknown gunmen is documented by this company, and they appear to have shifted the focus to more civilians. So before it was security operatives, now they seem to be focusing more on civilians. It's just an interesting data to read.
There's some good news on the CBN giving Fidelity Bank their approval to buy the 100% equity of the Union Bank UK PLC. So I don't understand the difference. I thought they were the same body, but I need clarity because we know the Union Bank.
Remember when they took, yes. So I remember that time they took a story. I read the story that the purchase by Titan was only for Union in Nigeria. Okay. It didn't extend to them in the UK. So there's probably a different relationship.
So this is a welcome, for their expansion to the UK market or whichever. I need clarity on where they will operate.
International market.
International market.
Okay.
The story is too short for that detail.
Okay, let's move on quickly now to Vanguard. Disquiet in PDP over Wike's preferred candidates and remarks. ASU. Government moves to reopen universities, calls meeting of pro-chancellors and VCs. Court rejects Abba Kyari's fresh application for bail orders and accelerated trial. FG engaging foreign countries to deal with insecurity, says Lai Mohammed. 2023, I won't allow politicians intimidate Nigerians with personal resources, says Buhari. Sanwo-Olu to raise Lagos education budget above 10%. Highly placed Nigerians involved in crude oil theft, says NNPC boss Kyari. And NCAA threatens to suspend 23 domestic airlines, over 46 billion debt owed agencies. Okay, which story are we starting with?
So I'll talk about our Minister for Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, at the two-day National Conference on Culture, Peace and National Security and the Role of the Media happening in Kano right now, although he's being represented by the Director, International Cultural Relations in that ministry. And he's just really, his message is just really that as regards insecurity, the federal government is in talks with ECOWAS, friendly countries, other, related countries on the best way forward, and that the federal government, of course, appreciates, the challenges of insecurity and how it affects us, but also calling on the media and saying that, see, the media has a lot you cannot leave the fight against insurgency and insecurity to just the federal government. The media has a big role to play as well. And he's asking them to please shun fake news, be careful in misinforming, people, because all these are the things that worsen the situation. They're just saying that the last meeting that they had, the one that they had last year, the focus was really on traditional rulers, local government chairpersons, that is asking for help from the grassroots. But this year is calling on media to understand the power that they have, especially as it regards, the sort of news that we we put out, also calling to clarify facts before, you know, you say anything about it or you put it out, and all other stakeholders in the media to just put that in mind.
So the appeal court in Ibadan has set aside the judgment awarding Sunday Igboho 20 billion naira cost awarded against the DSS when he sued the DSS for invasion of his home at the time when that investigation was happening. The court says that the award itself is outrageous and that the lower court, that's the high court that gave him that judgment, lacked the jurisdiction to even hear the matter at all. So I hope that, you know, he does an appeal or, you know, he refiles whatever issues he has.
Okay, I was going to take the story because it's related to the event I attended yesterday. So at the Lagos Education Summit, which the theme was a fit-for-purpose education model. So that was really the objective of the event. The governor's statement there was very clear that Lagos State has been increased the budget of education so far since 2020. We started with about 113 billion naira budget, and then from 2021 was about 146 billion naira budget. But in 2022, the budget for education was is 173.5 billion, which is exactly 10% of the 1.75 trillion naira budget for the state. And the governor did say that they plan to increase the budget on education because Lagos State is not paying lip service to the education. It's part of its themes agenda, and they are going to ensure that they put everything in place to help to reduce the end poverty in Nigeria by investing properly in education. So, and many have boasted that 173 billion is much more than the entire state budgets of quite a number of states within the federal government. So that's a lot of investment in education that the Lagos State government boasts of, and they're planning to increase that more than in the coming budgets. That's pretty much the story.
Well done, Lagos State.
Okay, let's final paper, the Nigerian Tribune. Let's find a story we've not taken. Over 25,000 persons missing in Nigeria due to insurgency in Northeast, says Red Cross. Many trapped as building collapse in Kano market. Unease in Ondo-Ogun border over status of Araromi seaside community. I will consider government of national unity if elected, says Atiku. And ASU strike FG to meet with pro-chancellors and vice-chancellors. Okay.
Yeah, so the International Committee of the Red Cross says that more than 25,000 persons are missing in Nigeria as a result of insurgency. They say that this is in addition to the 2,000 missing persons that were registered in 2021 in January. And of this number, 14,000 of them are children. That's 14,000 of these victims are children, and that they make up for about half or 50% of those missing. And then we also have the next highest number are women. International Committee of, that's ICRC, is saying that one of the problems we also have is that these numbers do not reflect the actual numbers on ground. We do not keep data here in Nigeria. And he says that you see the lack of data and the lack of political will to even do all that is needed to put this data together at some of the things lacking. So it's important. I mean, data collection, and it's just important. It tells a story. And some of these things that we're fighting with guns and ammunition, we can fight with just even understanding the numbers, you know.
Sadly,
we have to run. We don't have any more time. But that's all we can take on the front page review. When we come back onto our hot topic of the day, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So yesterday at the summit that I attended, the theme was fit for purpose education. And everybody there was talking about what is fit for purpose? I mean, the Nigerian education sector right now, do we think is fit for purpose? And I'd like to bring that also, that same question, to the conversation concerning recharge cards. Nigerians on Twitter are saying this morning that, are asking a question actually, that you think selling of recharge cards should go back to the people, because there was a time where you can actually buy a recharge card on the streets of Lagos, on the streets of Lagos, Nigeria. Everybody was selling recharge cards and was creating jobs. But now modernization, integration has now caused for that to move that service to the bank. So you're linking your airtime purchase, your bank transfers, everything is now linked to the bank. So we're asking, is this fit for purpose for the Nigerian people, for the masses we have, the population we have? Do you think, technologically wise, that we are ripe enough to move these transactions that come across as daily bread for the average Nigerian on the street into the hands of the bank? What are your thoughts? Do you think it's right? Because on social media this morning, it's pretty hot. It's a conversation people are having, and they're asking this question, and it's a question I'd like to also ask our viewers. What are your thoughts on this? Call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-7694. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your view TVC so we can read your tweets. So modernization, you know, we all want to move forward. We think everything should be unsync and synchronized. And yet, there are people saying, you're taking jobs away from us. Same way, technology is entering our educational system where teachers are using tablets, they're doing this. Will computers start teaching our children? Please, so what are your thoughts? Do you think we're moving too fast? Or do you think that we should get with the program? I mean, the world is moving technologically right now. And people are saying, bring back recharge cards to us. We want to sell it to everybody.
Yeah. So as a selfish consumer, I feel this is my money. I should be able to buy my recharge card wherever I want and in the most convenient way. So for me, it would be like, okay, if they've taken it, find something else. That's as a selfish consumer. But then, you know, you mentioned something, you kept saying fit for purpose, and fit for purpose for the economic realities on ground. For, if we look at the data, the number of unemployed Nigerian youths and some of the things that they do. We were talking, just last week, we talked a lot about the Okada ban and the fact that, you know, many Nigerian youths, that's a means of livelihood. And if you take that away from them, what then will they do? Does that mean that they'll fall into crime? And for recharge card, I remember when I was in university, lots of university students used to do it on the side. It helped them. In NYC as well, I know a few people who, during their 1 year, they use that to raise funds, and, you know, help them raise capital for many things that they were going to do. But, you know, time has passed. Technology is here to stay, whether we like it or not. The only thing, because you're saying fit for purpose, is this is where government comes in and says, you know what, this is taking the banks. They have the wherewithal, they have the technology, they have the money, they have the presence, they have the distribution centers everywhere to do this and do it conveniently and make so much profit on it as well. So that's good for the banks. The banks also are employing people. Right. You know, it's a business. But then we have this teeming number of Nigerian youths then now struggling and looking for other means to raise money. So this is where I feel government can come in. Do something for them where they are working in collaboration with the banks so that these people are still able to sell this recharge cards, but find a way to make it like maybe they're indirect employees of the banks to keep it. But if we're talking of, but that's like socialism, you know, and that's not the system that we're working with. But because we say fit for purpose, in what way can government step in to make sure that we don't take jobs completely away, means of livelihood completely away from young people? Because young people, it's not like they don't want to do more, but they are not a powerful bank. They don't have all the resources. They don't have all the to do it, you know, to that level. It takes money to be able to employ technology to do some sort of businesses, and that's the truth. So at this level, the only thing I can say is government needs to work with banks to see how, you know, you indirectly employ them.
Nima, let me come to you on this because, I mean, everybody is saying, the woman on the street doesn't want to be going to start kiniko to start loading. She wants to just go, please, auntie, give me 500 naira recharge card. Give me, so, you know, it's easier. So convenience for you is different from convenience for her. So convenience for you is just to do star XYZ and get your phone loaded. But she is not convenient. She'd rather just call somebody to buy and load it. Same thing with my mother-in-law. Mother-in-law, like, well, I'll say, Mom, let me help you. She said, She has bought her recharge. Yeah, but where are you going to go and buy now? Let me load it for you. Let me see what you're doing. Start this, do it for me. Let me know. Because when you're not there, I want to be able to do it by myself.
Yeah.
So her own by herself is going to buy from the street. So what do you think is right? Or do you think we should have both? Or do you think we should just say, listen, the world is moving forward. Everybody get with the program.
So at the expense of ease, because I enjoy the ease, I would not lie. But then I thought, I had a few friends who had this WhatsApp group. And when they help you recharge, they get paid. So it's employment for them. And so I stopped using the ease of using my banking app to recharge. Because I know those, my friends, they need that percentage of the recharges to eat. So they'll send you WhatsApp regularly, say, recharge for me and all of that. And that's how they feed. And so you deliberately focus on that. So that's how I want government to see it. So we like the ease. We love the technology and the growth. But look at the numbers of people. If we were to be giving out monies, what they call the humanitarian aid that they were giving out, 5,000 per indigent persons, how many would you feed successfully? But if you give the person dignity of what they earn, that's much better. And I know for a fact that I've had a few issues, at least twice, on those platforms, and they resolved within 24 hours. So it's resolvable. Just as when you have, there's this bank, cannot mention, we're using, to recharge prepaid meters, to recharge, and every time they will fail, they won't even refund. So you go to the bank, they'll be saying this transaction didn't pass through here. The bank's system is not even perfect. So it's not like, I know too many times they didn't refund the money, they did not do anything. And when I insisted on give my 5,000 naira back, it's a lot of my sweat. They said the money did not pass through here. It was the paper. They don't even have a neat answer. So you're almost frustrated. So if we say it's about ease alone, think about numbers of people that depend on that system to feed and their dignity. So we want growth. How about the banks design what they designed for the POS payments? When the banks did not want the queue and they wanted to create payment and their ATMs were not working, they allowed the POS work. How about you design this? Then you employ people because they have it as their social responsibility. You invite people who will come and they have the machine that once you give them your phone number, your recharge goes in straight just as it goes in the bank. And those people have a right or a partnership with the banks. Because we should be looking at taking care of more people. Now we are banning Okadas. Imagine that, you have 20,000 people that they say will suffer from the Okada ban on this platform. You have some other form of displacement. This issue of them recharging has displaced a lot of businesses. Just as Miriam said, in the university, I know friends who were millionaires from generating recharge card pins. They started small. Eventually, they built, in fact, that guy built at Yanosashi area, he built a full complex. And they became millionaires from this, only for this banking system to come. So what the banks did was not that they just solved. They just picked a few selects. That's why you must regulate capitalism. The same guys who were generating the pins went into partnership with the banks and ensured that they will use the banking platforms, only few of them. So maybe at the end of the day, they were able to empower only 100 people.
So how do we, so there's a huge population, there's a number of people.
Yes.
And the reason why I say that is because I know my mother-in-law is in that group. When she transacts, first she doesn't have an ATM. She goes to the bank to collect her money. She still does. She goes to the bank, give me 20,000 naira. Oh. Then she will calculate and remove minus, I have 100,000 naira, minus 20,000. And she will do her percentage of, and so the figure she has to align with what she sees. Yeah. When it doesn't align, she'll come to you, this is what I calculated. This is what they sent me. I have to now start taking her to the bank. Oh yeah, recalculate, show her, So she's old school and she chooses not to have it. She doesn't trust ATM, doesn't trust anything. Just give me my recharge card. So there's a huge population like that. So should we try to go the extra mile to integrate them into this new technology, or should we find a system should we maintain the system that works for them and let them sustain that? Because we're trying to, we don't want to take them out of the whole banking system.
Don't be offended. So that system that she is in is even being cheated presently. So when VAT was put on recharge cards, what you find is that when you buy 1,000 naira recharge card from any of the networks, they'll tell you to put an extra 50 naira, which will be charged on the money, because if they charge it and you don't pay that extra, the person that is selling on the street will lose their profit. Because they are, in the olden days, the network will give them a percentage. So they get a profit. I think there was doing VAT then. Suddenly VAT came and I had this issue where I couldn't recharge myself. I had to do it on the street. And I was asked to pay 100 naira extra on the 1,000 naira card. And the lady was explaining, you know, and that's her profit. So even they now are paying more, except that has been reversed, because I don't have that detail now. If that has been reversed, it's fine. But even they now are paying more. So we need to do more than just say the government is looking for revenue and find a way to balance things. Thank
you for taking me there. Government is looking for revenue. That's another angle. Let me take this call from Omakwa, calling from Abeokuta. Good morning. Are you there? Hello, Omakwa, you're live. Hello? All right, let's talk about revenue for a second, because, I mean, when you travel out and you just come back, you have all this information. And I remember that when I was driving in the UK, there was congestion charge, you know, when you're entering the city, because they don't want you driving. Rather, you take the buses or the train, and if you have to drive, you have to calculate that, do I really need to take a car to this place? Because I'm going to pass through the city. If I pass through the city, I'm going to pay congestion charge. And once you enter, the camera don't pick up your plate number, and they send the bill to you. Same thing, there's another one, you see UV ray, something that if you're not using the type of car, either if the emissions are coming out, you pay a certain charge because you're not using it. Wow. And I'm thinking, if they milk Nigerians like this, in fact, we'll just burn down the whole country. Because ordinary, but so the point is that governments are using clever ways outside the country, I know, to get more money. So they're paying their normal taxes, their normal, the regular taxes they deduct from their salaries and other ways. But all that, interestingly, they are finding clever ways of getting money from their citizens. In Lagos, for example, now, I heard somebody was telling me that he went for an Owambe party, that he ran the red lights. That as he was settling into the party, just about to just got a text from Lagos State government saying that you ran the light, 20,000 naira, in this same Lagos. Yes. So they were able to capture his data. So that's where we are moving to. But as we are moving like that, are we moving too fast? No. Are there people that we went to, and this informal sector, this informal group, they're not ready to, or they don't need all this information, all this technology. They just want to be left alone because it works for them. So how would government make money if these informal sectors, we cannot tax them, we cannot charge the boli seller, we cannot get, how do I get the boli seller to pay me taxes? Aside from the one that she pays, you know, the informal one. But that's their objective, to get more money from citizens, either through the banks, through the phones, through the recharge card. They're trying to get more money from us. Wow.
I mean, you have just discussed the topic.
Oh, sorry.
But, you know, this is you're going to...
I want to go on a break so that you have time to assimilate and then have a response. Stay with us to be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So, Mariam, you're going to say something?
Yes, you know, you're just, before we went to break, you know, you're just talking about how government is finding clever ways to make money. The truth is, this is the new world, and it has come to stay. And here we hear Lagos State talk about this smart city. It's going to cost us a lot of money. For those who live, Lagosians themselves, for those who will come visiting Lagos, it will cost you a lot of money to enjoy these facilities of the smart city. And so government would look for different ways. And about those people who you feel that they're being sort of pushed out, because like your mother-in-law, she still does it, you know, the regular way. The truth is that the percentage of Nigerians that are that way, her age group is the smallest age group in our country.
I've been asked to pause you. Mrs. Lawal, good morning. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
I was one of those who were selling recharge cards when I retired. But I find out that along the line, people were stealing my recharge card. So they sold over 250,000 as a retiree recharge cards from me. So that's how I stopped. It's not the fault of those selling. It is that they are always stealing it from us. So it's not government's problem. It is people's problem. They steal, they come, they steal. I don't know how you will just find out that by the time they will ask you they want to buy, or you just find out you give them this recharge card, and they'll say, no, let me go. There are so many tricks that they tricked us to steal our recharge card. So it is not government's problem. It is that people are stealing from people who sell recharge cards. That is why they stopped. I'm telling you, it's not
about security.
In fact, it was one of those populable ventures. But you see, from a retiree stealing well over 250,000 recharge cards, you know what it means. So that's how I stopped it.
Thank you, Mrs. Lawal.
So, yeah, Ms. Lawal is just saying that the other regular way we've always bought recharge cards has been risky for her, especially. She says that they steal from them.
Oh, yes.
So,
mother-in-law went through that also. Let me just give you that quick story, too. They stole from her, and the person now did it such that she mirrored her phone. So that anytime we see loads, the person gets the data credit. I don't know how they do it. They split it.
Look at that.
So it's like you're putting your daughter's number on your phone. So anytime you load, she gets some part of your data. So I kept...
It's called credit sharing.
Hey. I don't know about it.
Wow.
Well, just open can of worms.
So given that...
But it happens everywhere.
Yeah, I understand. But given that we're heading somewhere, technology is here to stay, and it will cost us a lot of money. And the percentage of people who still use the analog way of doing things, they're really a small number. Yes, we have a huge informal sector, and that is government is looking for different ways, even with our taxes, finding ways to properly tax them. Yes, even, we have had that conversation where, yes, we say that they are taxed, but, somehow the funds does not get to where it's supposed to. But now government is going to look for different ways to find how to tax people for using the resources that they are providing for us here in our country. I just think that what would happen going forward is that we would catch up eventually. Technology cannot move faster than it's not, I mean, in Nigeria right now, technology is not moving way faster than Nigerians. It's just moving at our own pace. For many Nigerians, if we were to go to maybe like an America or Japan or those countries, we will be lost completely because technology is going at their pace. But for here, a lot of us are still, we still understand a lot of things. We just need to sensitize people more. And secondly, people, when they find that the old way does not work for them, just like Mrs. Lawal, she would prefer to do, the banks. She would prefer to do the technological way because it protects her resources. It protects her from people stealing from her. So very soon, I just feel that we'll catch up anyway.
Let me take Hassan now. Come to you, Nima. Good morning, Hassan. Are you there?
Good morning.
Morning.
Please, we should have this, let me disabuse our minds about this issue of technology. It is not all technology inventions or scientific discoveries that should be all embraced. There are implications. Look, government should come in here and talk to the man so that they can protect our teeming unemployed youth. You understand? To have something to do. It is not everything. So when you look at it from that angle, government is the responsibility of the government to come in and hold it. That look, this is the source of employment for teams of people. And secondly, how many people within the Nigerian population that have bank accounts? There should be a need for people to research and look at it very well so that you'll be able to arrive at a logical conclusion. How many people have bank accounts compared to people with their handsets? How many of them? Up to tomorrow, people that are selling recharge cards are still making their money. You understand? But the only thing is this. Federal government, state government should come in to hold anything that will create a problem or will even make the unemployment worse in our society. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Hassan. Yes, Nima,
So I was going to say that what Mrs. Lawal was trying to explain was the risk of carrying the cards around. And the fraud that was happening then was that, all you needed to do was steal a person's umbrella and their bag, and all their capital has gone. But even in the bank with their technology, they didn't have a solution to it. So people's USSD pin, were easily picked. The fraud is happening, and the bank would deny knowledge of it. All these banks, they will deny any knowledge of it. They cannot resolve those issues. Even when internally they can, they don't try to. You mentioned an issue of fraud. This one happened to me, and to me, it is totally unbelievable that it is possible. With BVN, with bank phone number linking and all of that to the NIMC, I just could not believe. So we have a modem, and you know modems come with a small SIM. So my husband went to recharge it at one of these networks office in Festac. The guy that handled it saw that, you know, after it was set up, he recharged 40,000 on it. He used a sharing code and moved 20,000 of that money. We were expecting it to last a particular period, and so he ran out. My husband was like, that's not possible. This is how much I put on. I was like, I want you to put that kind of... I said, no, because it will run this long, and then you get more, megabytes and all of that. And we called. The first person we called said it wasn't possible, that we must have authorized it. Nobody takes out that SIM from the modem. He said, no, it was done with a USSD transfer. By the time we called another person in higher authority and he was explaining to us, it was done from their office.
Imagine that.
So these frauds, they don't have an end. And
so what you're saying...
When frauds like that happen, you see, usually the reason why technology is used is you can trace it. You should be able to say, okay, this is what happened. Somebody should be able to go to the back end to find out.
The back end person refused to take further action.
It's we the people again, because machines can't work themselves. We the people work the machines. So if I choose not to go to the back end, if I choose not to check, that's it. So technology is great.
Technology is bad. It just means that the person that is supposed to do the check...
is corrupt.
We're just saying no system is really safe. Yeah. So if you think that, okay, because they are stealing recharge cards from the sellers, let's just disempower them. Let's put the recharge cards in a more safer place. How safe is the technology that we're talking about?
So, no, I think the conversation is really what the pros and cons are of it for different types that you use. So if you use the old way, at the pros more than the cons, at the cons more than the pros. And to be honest, with technology, it's better to go that way. And then, whether we like it or not, whatever type of means we decide to go, there'll always be people who will try to circumvent it. There'll always be criminals. And it is for people to learn, how to catch them. Our police now, they would go from knocking on the door police to forensic investigation, checking through phones and data. They'll have to update and upgrade themselves as well. So there are a few tweets here. Let me just read them. This person, Bilkis says, my take is that being conservative makes us want things to stay the same. We keep comparing Nigeria with the rest of the world, but we refuse to do what they did to get where they are today. We can't evade tax forever. It's a sad reality, but we've got to pay something. And Posh Mama says, it is wrong for people to be standing inside the sun, rain, crowding the streets to sell recharge cards when we can easily buy it from our phones. This is 2022. Everything should be going digital. There's so many areas in our economy that is underemployed. We need heavy industrialization with a view to be an exporting country. That's where the employment is.
Tom Nigeria also says it's wrong for the banks to engage in this menial retail trade. Banks have left basic banking and now recharging airtime, electricity, cable, TVs. It's wrong.
But see, look at both sides of the same coin.
Is it wrong?
Because we're trying to trace. I want to be able to go check your account. You know how you watch a movie in Hollywood movie, And just by putting your name, I know how much you charged your card last. I know how you paid. I know the channel you watched on your TV the night before. How? You're just once you pay a bill. We can trace everything about you. Yes. From that. But Nigeria, we don't want that. We'd rather stand in the sun for 2 hours.
Country that we're constantly fighting insecurity.
We want to vote. We'd rather stand, do the manual vote, and stand in the long queue than electronic, because we don't understand that. It's easy for you to vote electronically.
The argument is the will to do the right thing, no matter the level of development we are on.
When we come back, we'll continue this conversation.
How can you
stay with us?
recharge
We'll be right back
in the office? Okay.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing this issue of recharge cards. Do we leave it as doing our online transactions, or do we go back to letting regular Nigerians have the opportunity to sell recharge cards so you can make an earning from the sales. That's the conversation on Twitter this morning. Nima, you're going to add something to that?
Yeah, because you were talking about this biodata and tracing and how important data and all of that is. And I'm wondering if a network that is involved with the NIMC in registering phone numbers gives a number and say this number moved money from a modem, or this is a number that received money from your phone number, and they're refusing to give you name and they're refusing to do anything about it. When you're complaining as a customer, what's the reliance?
So we need to hold these networks more accountable.
They need to do more. Yeah. They need to do more because at the risk of embarrassing yourself, going online, shouting and closing down their office, risking police officers, which they already guard their offices with, there's little or nothing you can do because the money you will pay for a criminal investigation, you will sometimes just be discouraged.
Let me take Mr. Bayo from Kwara. Good morning, Mr. Bayo.
Good morning, Mario.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Bayo.
Please, I'm sorry to bring you ladies back. I was asked about the man that spoke about adoption something last 2 weeks.
Sorry?
Last what?
Last week, she spoke about the adoption and surrogacy. I want to get if I can get a direct line.
Adoption and surrogacy.
The producers are hearing you. I'm sure they will sort that out for you. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. Thank you very much for calling. Any tweets?
Okay, so...
Okay, do you have tweets? Because I just wanted to say, see, that is valid. I mean, as technology advances, there will be loopholes to criminals who take advantage. And what it will mean is that we also will have to educate ourselves and enlighten ourselves on the best way to protect ourselves in this new world. We're constantly hearing of companies. I mean, it was even in the papers, companies that are attacked by hackers in Nigeria, like nearly every day. The numbers are high. So we'll have our children going to school to learn about how to protect, you know, companies and things like that. It's just, whether we like it or not, the world is going to change. Technology is here to stay. All we have to do is just keep up.
Somebody was even saying that it's like taking us back to email, either night post. So saying, oh, my mommy doesn't have an email address. She doesn't send an email. Just send her a mail via night post. Like, night post down, it's gone. So
night post is there. Don't let them hear you.
So Twitter, no, they are now a career company. So Twitter is answering us. Obaleye Jolayemi says, if not for the involvement of banks, we could be buying 500 naira card for 550 naira as increase in prices of paper and ink. And another thing
and
is
transport
the distance
from the
from
office
one place to the place of purchase.
So there are pros and cons, as
Banks makes it comfortable and to charge any time.
So why don't we just educate those who do not know and how?
I think there are ways to capture this large number of unemployed inside this matter. Posh Mama says...
Okay, there are other ways. Okay, so there's another issue, that Okada thing you raised. I was complaining that I had to walk like long distance from the train station to the place I'm going to stay because I don't have Okada to run. So the point is that, they'll say, oh, we don't have trains here. Yeah, we don't have trains here, but the idea is that if we ban Okada, it will affect a lot of people. But at the same time, it could also create other jobs because I was saying scooters. So somebody brings in scooters and you start buying scooters, and you now start using scooters. You created a new business. Even kids had scooters. Yeah. So you have created a new. So when you close one, it opens up another opportunity. Because if government says I'm banning Okada today, I'm thinking as a businessman, I have 10 million kinikon. Let me import about 100,000 scooters and I sell it off. That's business for me. But
before you import those scooters, you make sure that government also understands when it comes to development. We need to make sure we have proper pedestrian passage. Because especially Lagos roads.
Another thing I saw, Miriam, that's an opportunity because when you go to the market, you help goes to the bag, right?
Yes.
So she goes to the market, buys the stuff in the bag, jumps on Okada drops her in the house.
Yes.
Now, because we don't have Okadas over there, they have these trolleys. So they go with the trolleys. Somebody brings in that trolley now because now the Okada cannot carry you. So you need to carry nylon bag and be walking, and that's a stress. Somebody brings in trolleys and sells trolleys. You know, that's crazy business. So there will be opportunities.
We'll find space for trolleys to park near.
No, not trolley. I want small trolley. This small trolley, just to carry all your market produce in it and take it home. It's easier. So the point is that if you close one door, other doors open. But we need to start thinking creatively and accept the reality of today.
So, Posh Mama says, I spend more on recharge since banks started selling than when I had to buy on the streets. If I had to load 5,000 for internet, they will tell you they don't have. That they only have 500 or 200 available cards. And so you start to buy and then you're adding up to reach the recharge card, so which was stress.
Okay, you want?
Go on.
Okay, says there's nothing wrong if banks engage in menial retail trading. I think it's in response to someone who said that banks should not be involved in menial retail trading. Said some heartless beings caused a lot of damage to manual recharge the same way they are doing with POS. Although I recharge most bills manually, you pick what works and is safe for you.
Okay, that's all we can take on this segment. I think in a nutshell, yes, we understand the pains of those who are losing the opportunity to sell recharge cards manually, to retail sell that to people. And we understand that. But we're saying that for every closed door, other opportunities can open for other things. So also saying that even the technology part of it, there are ways, it makes it easier, but also we need to ensure that the service providers are held accountable for all the malpractices that go on behind, because people do steal from some people and divert data and funds to other accounts. So these are loopholes the service providers must be able to close. You're going to add something, Mariam?
No, just to say that, you know how Nigerians are, how resilient we are. I mean, this recharge card was going down. Now we have POS. You want 1,000 naira, you give them 11,000 or 10,500. You just find a way, just in agreement with you that when one door closes, another one just opens.
Yes, yeah. Okay, that's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, Ima fought hard for us not to take this topic. But we fought back. But nah, this topic, we must take it. Stay with us. We will be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So last Friday, Yakubu Mayaku was sworn in as the 31st president of the Nigerian Bar Association at the 62nd Annual General Conference of the association held in Lagos. Days before his swearing-in ceremony, the noble profession has been entangled in serious controversies, condemnations after some aggrieved lawyers who did not get their conference materials on the time stormed the registration center and looted the booths.
Yeah, so
They vandalized conference booths, stole phones, and even assaulted officials. Joining us to discuss the task before the new president of the NBA is a legal practitioner who has been practicing for 38 years.
Wow.
Joining us is Barrister Ojo Williams. Welcome to the show, sir.
Good morning.
Good to have you, sir.
Good morning.
So as I said before, Nima did everything to stop us from taking this lawyer's vandalism story.
This show off,
legal profession, no profession. Leonard colleagues said no problem. But we now say, okay, so this new president is an opportunity to took in this answer. So this new president now, they call him YK. Is it YK or MK? You know, the Yakubu, yes, YK actually. They call him YK. He has a huge task ahead because recently we're talking about the controversy that happened with Olanipe Okunwusi in his office. What happened that but one of his lawyers had to step aside. Recently, I think Justice Taiwo was able to convicted someone to pay 4 million naira for collecting bribe. Another judge recently jailed a lawyer for a month. All sorts of, and then they now talk to that Capitol up. They had a conference where your people now vandalize and loot. And I think is this the same noble position that even my own father, yes, I can say my father was part of? Is it still a noble profession at this point? And what's the huge task ahead for this new president? What must he do to regain the respect of this profession?
Well, thank you very much. Good morning, viewers. As a member of the Bar Association myself, I was shocked to see what happened at the last Bar conference. And inwardly, I knew that the incoming administration of Yakubu will have a lot to do in the area of discipline and decorum. Having said that, we must not forget that the Bar Association does not exist in a vacuum. It is a product of the socio-cultural background within which we are living, a cultural milieu now. And when you look at the society at large, it will take angels to behave differently. We are all Nigerians. You know what is going on in the country. Everybody is impatient now. You put people in position, they go there and personalize things. Even at the federal, state level, local government level, look at what is happening. It's as if everybody has resolved to take as much as they could from the system, willy-nilly, regardless of whose oxes are God. You understand? So that, and lawyers also belong to this society. People see themselves as victims, trying to get something back, you understand, from those in charge. That is the mentality of the Nigerian man today. They see government as cheating them. They see society as being unfair to them. The state governors, they see them as oppressors. Even the legislature, those who are sent there to go and make laws, people now look at them with suspicion. They are only going there to fend for themselves. They are not minding the society over whom they are presiding, legislating, passing laws.
So how would wise...
Now, that is the socio-cultural milieu that the MBA, you know, belongs. So to expect them to behave differently, I'm sorry to say this, but these are facts.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. To expect them to behave differently, we'll be expecting them to behave like angels. They are also influenced by what is going on in the society. If you have a bar association that is not accountable, that is not transparent, the tendency is that people will want to probe deeper and then take laws into their hands to get what they think is their due.
So, sir, are you saying that it's a hopeless situation? We used to always blame the legislation, say they are politicians, and that's how politicians behave. But the judiciary, the lawyers, and, you know, are we saying it's hopeless? Because we thought that if...
It is not that hopeless.
Okay.
You see, the Bar Association has a lot to do in restoring confidence in the system. In those days when you put a lawyer in a place, you think decorum will be the order of the day. So you can go home to rest, assured that things will go on smoothly. But I told you, this is a different cultural milieu within which we are operating. And the Bar Association itself is influenced by society. So the incoming administration has a lot to do to reassure the public that we have not lost the ethos, we have not lost the ethics of the profession.
Talking about the ethics of the profession, so let me go to the ethics of the profession, because many people believe that lawyers are part of our problem because they always introduce all sorts of technicalities when it comes to cases against politicians. You know, they'll find one thing, because you expect that if the politicians are doing their own, the legislature is doing their own, the executive, the judiciary would at least understand, like, with this person stole money, and we can have evidence to convict him. But no, they will add one thing, one technicality to get this man to only spend maybe 3 months, 1 year in jail. And he walks free afterwards. And are you not part of the problem?
The tendency is to see us as part of the problem. But you see, when you look at jurisprudence, as I've told you, the system is what the society has made it. You see, when a judge behaves awkwardly, let me put it that way, you understand? You look deeper. You should not look at the effect. You should rather look at the cause. But Nigerians, most of the time, instead of addressing the cause of an event, we look at the outcome of the event. You understand? The outcome, you know, something has happened. There's a causation.
Yeah.
You understand? There is an effect. Instead of addressing the causation, you look at the effect and start addressing it. We have to reform this society. The Nigerian society is in decay. Not only the judges, not only the lawyers. How about the military? What do you want to talk about the military? People who are sent into the field to go and tackle Boko Haram. They get Boko Haram, compromise with them, rehabilitate them, put them on salary. Many of them recruited back into the force. What do you say about that? So the entire society has to be reformed. And this is also where the politicians have a very, very humanly function to perform. Look, for some time, put aside the monetary aspect of what you are doing. Look at this society. You see, my feeling is that everything is cannibalized, so to say. Even government itself is cannibalized. From the federal to the states, go and look at what is happening. Everything is upside down. So everybody is just trying to make ends meet, looking for where to catch in and catch out.
One of the professions that, you know, is treated with nobility and class is the legal profession, because they sort of are those who form society. So the profession is not pretending not to say that there will be things like this. So they have some disciplinary measures that are being created.
We do.
My colleague mentioned the Wole Nikwekun's investigation. Somebody had to ask him to step aside from the body of benchers so that this investigation will be clean, transparent, and free of any bias.
Yes.
You know, so sometimes must we? Why can't we use the machinery on ground? Why are those machineries not being deployed right now? For instance, this vandalism that happened at the NBA conference. We had videos. I remember the past outgoing NBA president saying that, you know, they have video capturing of some of the people who were involved in this. Can we make scapegoats of this? Can we use the machinery on ground?
You see, that is a sociological problem, as I've told you, that is not limited to lawyers alone. You ask a bencher to step aside. That is in conformity with the rule of law. A member of the benchers has been accused of an offense that ultimately may be brought before the body of benchers. The first thing you do is to ask him to set aside. So that is in conformity with our practice. They have satisfied the rules of engagement on that one. You cannot be a judge in your own cause.
But he refused to step aside.
Why did he even have to be asked?
Yeah,
Yes,
he doesn't need to be asked. But he believed in the innocence of his own cause too. That you do not adjudge a man guilty until he's heard. They should have heard from him. You understand? I was part of the Salami Must Go thing, Brouhaha, a lot of years ago, as an outcome of what happened in Osun State. You understand? You are the leader of the NJC. You are a judge of the Court of Appeal. You now have a series of allegations against you. The first thing you should do is to step aside so that whoever is watching the investigation, whoever was watching the proceedings going on will say, no, this is unconnected with his office. Exactly. You give credibility to the system that way.
Yes.
That is what they are asking my learned senior, Barrister Nikwekun's to do. You understand? And many of us share that with those who ask him to step aside. What for? At the end of the day, the man will be absolved. It's somebody we could all vouch for. But the system must be obeyed.
Exactly.
The rules must be obeyed. Step aside for a while. These people will come back and say, yes, we investigated all these things. We could not find anything against this man. And he will be reinstated. They are not expelling him. They are asking him to step aside. But you see, there are always two sides to a coin. You must never condemn a man unheard. Oh, he's been asked to step aside. Oh, that means he's guilty. No, that is not the approach. Even when God knew that Adam and Eve had committed a sin, he called Adam and said, what have you done? He still listened to him before condemning him.
Yeah.
That is the way.
What about the conduct of lawyers and checking using the machinery that, we have?
Yes, I told you earlier on that the lawyers using the machinery are also products of the society. Everybody is taking advantage of the system because of the weak leadership. the unethical leadership that we have at all levels. You understand? People are taking advantage of it, and you cannot ask lawyers to behave differently. You understand? When everybody is going for the cash. That is the problem. But you see, a responsible bar association will still insist discipline in its followers because they see the bar association as a conscience of the society. You understand? To bring in reforms, to curtail some of these excesses. And when gold rots, what do you expect other metals to do? That is why we must all join hands with the new executive coming in to make sure that they bring in discipline to bear. And they should not fear anybody who is found guilty of doing anything or behaving unethically.
Let me get a few more questions for you. Yes.
Okay, sir. Yeah. We are already talking about politics, the general elections coming in 2023, and we have seen many cases of people, lawyers defending politicians who are unpopular in their areas, but because of technicalities have found a way to install them in those offices. Even to the and there's huge outcry, but the court is the court. And you have been known to also be, play your part and your role in politics as well, especially Osun State. So in what ways do you think your learned colleagues and yourself and the profession can do better to safeguard our democracy?
Thank you. That is a challenge for my colleagues at the bar. If we really want to save the reputation of this profession, we must behave to type. We must not join the bandwagon of strictly for cash. People who take cases just because of the money. There must be ethics in what we are doing. You must not be seen promoting what the society believes is wrong. You understand? And the Bar Association is there to call its members to order, where there are petitions, where there are complaints. Let me tell you that if you suspect any lawyer of any misdoing, the Bar Association is free to entertain your complaint. But the problem is that even the society itself no longer believes in complaining. They no longer believe in petitioning. They only believe in this media trial. Oh, Arawanoni, he has taken money. If he's a judge, he has taken bribe. They just condemn, they condemn wholesale without even listening to the other side, as I've said. So it is the responsibility of this present Bar Association to call such lawyers, you understand, to order. Occasionally call them. We had this and this and this and what is going on. You know the implication on the reputation of the Nigerian Bar Association. Please, what is the situation? What has actually happened? Then, where in appropriate cases, make your findings known to the public. I respect a number of people in the bar for this kind of thing I'm advocating. People like Femi Falana, who was a year ahead of me at the University of Ife. There are people who go extra mile to dig into the facts of a matter before taking a position. Those are the kind of people we need to pilot the affairs of the Bar Association. Not people who will just say, okay, crucify him. Others before had been crucified, so he also must be guilty, crucify him. But go deeper into the accusation, look into the complaints. That is audio-altering pattern. That is Nemo Judas Inkosasua. You do not condemn a man unheard. If he's a member of the Bar Association and is on your bench, ask him to step aside. If he's a body of bencher member, ask him to step aside so that you can probe deeper into the complaint. And
let me ask you, I actually have two questions. Let me ask one. As one of the top election petition lawyers in the country, do you agree that we should have special courts for elections?
It depends on what Nigerians want. I have respect for special courts because they make things speedier. They make things speedier. At a time in this country, we had the armed robbery and firearms tribunals. And to a large extent, it curtailed armed robbery. But democracy is a different kind of thing. All the courts must look alike. They must have the same rules. So the armed robbery tribunals went away. I'm not satisfied with that. If I have my way today, I will bring back the robbery and firearms tribunals. Not only against armed robbers, against kidnappers. Yes. What is the essence of taking kidnappers before a regular court, where you have series of cases, waiting judgment and trials? Set up special tribunals, special courts to look into these cases of kidnappers, banditry. You are caught red-handed, within 3 months, you are gone if you are found guilty. That is what deter people from committing crimes. If you know that you have a chance of staying 3, 4, 5 years before coming to trial, that is not deterrence in my humble view. Many kidnappers are there. They've been on the line for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years without justice, even after conviction. They are there. So those things do not serve the justice or the cause of justice well. So I advocate special courts. I'm in support of special courts. It makes, even in England, where we borrowed the Nigerian legal system, we have divisions of the courts. You have the probate division that look into people, into things of inheritance and matrimonial causes. You have the chancery that look into commercial cases. And I advocated this when I was practicing in Kano, that look, our high court rules should specify specific divisions for judges. It makes even their jobs faster and easier. If you know that you are sitting on a matrimonial causes for the next 1 year, you are abreast with all the cases. Yes. So understand? So if any matrimonial causes case come up, you don't need to go for further research. You already have them. So it makes, you can deliver judgment off the cuff. That is, without retiring into your chambers. Yeah. Deliver it and go away. If you have the chancery...
Can the NBA do this? Can the NBA make this?
The NBA can only make recommendations. Remember, they are not lawmakers. The National Assembly is there. The state assemblies are there. I spoke about the special courts. Believe me, a serious state should have done what I'm talking today. Set up armed robbery and firearm tribunals and see who will stop you on any ground. But you see, we are all easygoing people. Okay. They don't want... Yeah.
Ordinary death,
you understand? Easygoing, I don't want to be seen as rocking the boat. Yeah. What is rocking the boat there? This is why I give kudos to Governor Akeredolu all the time. He doesn't take such seats because he is not only a lawyer, he's a senior advocate who happened to be in governance in Ondo State. He knows what we are talking about. But these governors are too indulgent of the federal authorities. Take your powers to you and then exercise it the way it will pave way for development of the society without minding who is offended in Abuja. You are not elected there to satisfy people in Abuja. You are elected, for goodness sake, to satisfy people within your state.
Okay. So, sir, the issue of, the NBA interviewing or inviting all presidential aspirants on all party platforms, this last conference, some people have questioned that. I would like to hear your take on, how proper it is and what the objective was. Was it achieved, if there was an objective to that invitation?
Well, to some extent, I think it was achieved. Let me say that there is no problem about inviting people before the Bar Association conference to speak on specific issues. We are going into an election year. Most people have never seen these contestants before. They have never. Maybe they hear of Atiku in the media. They have never seen him, even including lawyers. People hear of Shetima. They have never seen him in flesh. So, coming to the Bar Association, Obi is a very popular person who had been governor in Anambra for 8 years. But how many people had seen him before? How many people have interacted with him? The Bar Conference offers you an avenue to showcase these people, and in return for them to interact with the elites of the society, which the Nigerian Bar Association represents, for questions to be asked, for clarifications to be made, for lasting impressions to be created. And believe me, look at somebody like Shetima. He did very, very well, apart from his dressing, which was another talk of the town. But you see, he made a lasting impression there. People see that he could even articulate eloquently in English, contrary to earlier belief that he was just one of those people there, you know, the Boko Haram. Boko Haram, by the way, means Haram is book. That is, book is useless. Western education is pointless, it's useless, it should be discarded. But if that is the situation, here you have a Shetima coming out in flawless Queen English. You understand? Articulating views before the NBA. That washes him clean to some extent that he was not a ruffian all along. Look at somebody like Obi, with all his data, with all his computer knowledge and all that, dishing out figures and all that. People have never seen him like that before. Look at Atiku. Atiku was vice president for 8 years, and he has a lot of followership in the country. But how many people had interacted face-to-face with him? So the Bar Conference, to me, was a huge success in that respect. Okay. It's unfortunate that the success was marred by what ended the conference.
Yeah. I have a few more questions for you before I go, because I don't want to, I have a little time left. You're lawyer to Prince Dotun Babayemi, who is also contesting the elections in Osun, which many said was free and fair, contesting the election of the governor-elect, Adeleke. I'm trying to see how, do you think this is part of the issue we're having? Because in an election that everybody says is free and fair, why are you still challenging it in court? Must we have all these election petitions after elections?
Well, I must confess that I'm involved in everything that is happening in Osun politically. And believe me, what Prince Dr. Babayemi is doing has a backing of majority of the leaders in Osun. Don't forget that this was a pre-election matter.
Yes,
the conflict started even before the elections came. Don't forget that the issues were, we have two aspirants claiming to be candidates of the party because there were parallel congresses. One was held at the stadium in Osogbo. The other was held at the Work Center, also in Osogbo. One was attended by an acting chairman. The other one had no chairman to preside over it. When you look at the constitution of the PDP at section 25 specifically, it tells you who presides on a state congress. The state congress is where the chairman presides to elect who becomes the flag bearer of the party in a governorship election. That is the major function. So without a chairman in situ, that is a chairman in place, you cannot have a state congress. Who will direct the affairs where there is no chairman? So those were the contending issues before the election, long before the elections came. You understand? Yeah. And then the matter was taken to the State High Court before the election came. The State High Court, in its wisdom, said, no, you have a correct number of delegates, but the venue where you heard the thing was wrong. Those at the stadium, they had the wrong delegates. And if you have the wrong delegates, it means you cannot even anoint anybody as candidate of the party. But because they said officials of the National Secretariat came there, their own is authentic, even though they had no acting chairman. They had no chairman at all, who under the party constitution supposed to preside over the state congress. So the judge delivered the ruling, and I was in court physically. I listened to the thing. There were so many grounds of appeal. The judge even delved into areas that were not canvassed before him.
Can you imagine? Sir, but this is
you understand? So the matter was taken to the Court of Appeal. Don't forget, the issue is whose Congress was the authentic one. Not about elections yet. You understand? So the Court of Appeal now look at what the judge of the Federal High Court said. You understand? Instead of the Court of Appeal to address the issues on merit, he struck out over 6 grounds of appeal, which would have resolved the thing one way or the other, without even looking into it at all. So it was on that premises that Prince Dr. Babayemi said he has not gotten judgment, justice.
This is about the technicalities that we're asking, that we're questioning. Because if we talk about what do the people want, who do the people want? Yeah. So who is presiding versus we have all come together to come and vote for who we want to represent us.
Yes.
Shouldn't that be should be weighed heavier than if somebody was presided or the venue they used? That's what they say. These are the technicalities we are saying lawyers are putting.
The question now is this. The national leaders of the party, the presidential candidate, Atiku, the vice presidential candidate, my Governor Okowa, came to Osun, called my leaders, majority of whom are in support of what Prince Dr. Babayemi is doing. Said, look, we don't want to dabble into this your legal issues, but for God's sake, go and vote for the party. Whoever wins in court takes the benefit. Don't allow this conflict, this legal disputation to affect the outcome of your election. We want to win Osun. Please, bury this litigation for the time being. Mobilize your people to go and vote. When the PDP wins, we will know who the rightful candidate is. And don't forget it has happened before. Amechi was there. You know, when Umehia, you understand, was pushed forward as candidate. Amechi went to court. No, Umehia, it was never our candidate. I was the rightful candidate of the party. The matter went from High Court to Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court. At the end of the day, the Supreme Court said, no, come on. Amechi is the rightful candidate. Even though he did not paste one poster, but he was the rightful candidate. Umehia, after about 6-7 months in government, was asked to step aside.
Sir, let me come in here so that we don't lose all the time for the show. So just as you have given this precedent, there's a precedent now because the APC is also in court and they're suing.
No, the APC party. Is in tribunal.
You are at tribunal now, election tribunal now, suing the party on issues. The way you're giving precedent of what happened in Rivers State back then before Amechi became governor. That is the law. There's a precedent of sorts that some people are relying on in the Biafra case, where the APC lost to the PDP. They are brought in Diri. They are brought in Diri.
Yes.
Do you see that happening at all in Osun in these elections now in the tribunal? As
a lawyer, we don't normally comment on matters before the court. So I don't want to be seen as prejudging what the Supreme Court will say. You understand? But you see, the principle is this. The Supreme Court, and indeed all the courts, are there as neutral arbiters. You understand? They do not look at the effect of something. They just look at the facts and they give you the position of the law. You get it? So whether it is going to be the Diri outcome or the Amechi outcome does not concern the courts for the time being. Okay. The justice of the matter is what is before the court. Was the congresses held in Osun, you understand, were they legal? That's the first point of view. The second thing is this: if both of them were not legal, or which one is legal between the two, they proclaim the outcome of the Congress as the winner of the Congress.
Okay, we have to wrap up, so I have to cut you off because there's a tweet here that is really important for me to say. Somebody said that, tell your guests to stop misinforming viewers that Boko Haram members and recruited into the Nigerian army. That's from, so because you had said that earlier, so I wanted you to be sure what you're saying, because say that that information is wrong and you have a duty to correct him ASAP. So they say that they don't recruit Boko Haram members into the Nigerian army, because you had mentioned that earlier. I'm happy that somebody, I don't know if it's an officer of the Nigerian army, but I'm sure that person is not hearing this allegation for the first time. He is not hearing this allegation for the first time. And even the armed forces, through their leaders, said they were integrating Boko Haram. T.Y. Danjuma suggested such also. Yes, so it is too late in the day to start telling us that we should retract. You should have asked that question and correct these things long ago. And don't forget that retired Major General Danjuma said something in that light, that look, you guys are collaborating. You are collaborating with terrorists and bandits. You are covering them. You are showing them data. You are doing this for them. You are doing that for them. It's too late in the day for this kind of side wind. I'm not bothered by it at all. That's all we can take, sir. Thank you very much. The show has finished. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you on the show today to educate us. You're welcome. That is all we can take on the show today. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now. Thank you.